Hello, this is my first video about some projects that I've been doing just over the weekends, just to keep myself sort of together with my programming and stuff like that. So last week I did a project called Dojo of the Day, which was basically a web app that basically will serve you a picture of a random will serve you a picture of a dog randomly whenever you sort of click on it. And then I did a couple of things so that when you kind of sent text messages with the link to people, they would that they would show the dog natively in the thing when you save it to Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. So basically, I go to my screen here and I show you quickly. So essentially, it was this. It just gave a random picture using a dog API. And then also I put in a randomized button as well. So if you'd like to see me do a video on that and how I programmed that and rework some of the steps to try and go through that, then please do let me know. But today I wanted to make this project centered around the Giphy API. So originally I got the idea sort of from the Coding Trains video from YouTube, where they use the Giphy API to basically serve random GIFs based on certain keywords and things like that. And it was basically just like a nice little tutorial and got you into the APIs, the Giphy API especially, and it's part of a series as well that talks through APIs in general. So I'll put the link in the description. I'll also apologise for the amount of times I am saying obviously first time I'm doing this, so please bear with me. So yeah, so that's where I got inspiration for this so far. So so basically I'll give you an overview of what I plan to do today. So I have a website of my own, and I have a 404 page like most websites will have, but rather than just using a standard message that says page not found, I thought it'd be quite cool to just sort of set up GIFs for those sort of 404. So if you look at my current 404 here, it's just like an awkward GIF of Annie from Community. So basically I wanted to do something similar to that and just basically expand on it using the Giphy API, because this is literally embedded, so I wanted to kind of like dynamically render them on the fly. There was another one I've done like this as well, which is a bit more full screen, but to be honest I can't remember. But I can't remember the exact URL of that project I used it for, but that was a sort of forbidden 403 kind of error message. So basically I wanted to do that today with the Giphy API so that we could get them on the fly. So I've chosen 3 error messages that I kind of want to try and tackle. So that would be the 404, page not found, 403, forbidden, and 500 error, which is a so I don't know the exact thing of the error, but basically it's an error message say y'all done fucked up. So it's an error I'm used to getting, so I wanted to focus on those 3. So I've got my own API key here. As I said, I've got my own app here. Originally you could, with the Giphy API until very recently, they could give you just like a public production key where anybody could use it just for like testing purposes. So they've kind of changed that now, so you basically have to create an account and create an app to get your API key, but that's not very difficult. So so I've already set it up here, but if you would like I could do a video just basically running through this, but it is very, very simple. You just sign up, you name your app, and ta-da, you get the API key. So this is really important. We need to keep hold of this because we'll be using this to sort of authenticate ourselves between when we make calls to the app. So one of the important things is that I'll be using just standard JavaScript on this sense. I do think about using PHP, which is something I'm used to, but just for a very sort of small Sunday project, then this will be it. I actually did start calling the series the Sunday projects, but after thinking about the stuff that I was planning on doing, I don't know how useful they were, so I think pointless project would probably be the right term. So basically, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this API key and put it in my notepad, so that I've got it's safe. So take that. So basically, the Giphy API documentation is pretty good. There's quite a lot that you can kind of do with it, including sort of uploads and stickers and random trending, etc., etc. So, but what we are really interested in is the search one, and they actually give you the example code here. So essentially, you can get it this way. It's very, very easy, but obviously they have all this sort of custom code here for Ruby and PHP, etc. and Python. But you could probably adapt this quite well, because obviously you've got curl there as well. So the important thing to this is that we have this URL, we have the query string, so what we're searching for, in this case Ryan Gosling, and the API key that we took, and the amount of GIFs we'll get. So if I just take this and up here, I'm not going to be using Notepad as text editor, but just to sort of keep track of where I am. So we decided that we're going to use 404s, 403s, and 500s, just for my sort of OCD. I'll put that there. So 403s, 404s, and 500s. So 404s, there's actually quite a lot of GIFs when it comes to 404s. So as you can see here, I've already got Noah. So with 404s, there's quite a lot you can search for, and you get some really sort of cool examples of some GIFs that are related to 404 messages. So this is not the page you're looking for. This one here, I'm quite confused about this one, so if anybody can tell me what this one means, that would be great. We got the no signal, and my personal favourite here, John Travolta in front of a error screen. Now I know that's obviously a connection error there, but I think it works kind of well. So what I wanted to do is kind of, when it came to each of these, come up with some search terms and then randomly make a call based on a search term, and then bring back a random GIF based on that. So with 404s, I can use obviously 404, you know, where is it? Lost as well. So those are the sort of three I'm going to use. 403s, no, nope, you shall not pass, and none. We'll see what we can get for none shall pass and see if that actually works. And then 500s, we'll come back to 500, I think, and we'll sort of start coding around and then come back to 500s, because there's probably a downside that you could probably think of for search terms. So let's open up Sublime, because I am a Sublime guy. That is a terrible joke. I'll get one per thing. So obviously I've got a folder open here of the Doge project. So what I'm going to do is open a new folder. back. Let's create a new folder, and we're going to call it error. We're just going to call it error messages. Yeah, put error messages, and we're going to start with that. So let's close this one. So we're going to save. No. So essentially what I had here is all of this. So what I'm going to do is something like that. Somewhere, and then I'm going to use the Bootstrap 3 shortcut, which is Bootstrap 3 template HTML. Nope, that's not it. See, I've got Bootstrap 3 snippets installed, but I don't actually remember what the actual snippet is. So I don't know how well that works on me. It shows how little I actually do at home. There we go. So we have Bootstrap template HTML5. And how much? So I was missing the 5. No, okay. I put my my hyphen. So there's supposed to be a hyphen here instead of a. So there we go. So now we have a somewhat site, and then I'm just going to wrap this stuff here with script tags. What I'll do then is comment out all of this stuff here. So there we go. So let's just save it. So what I'm going to do is comment this out as well, just to make sure what's going on is right. So save all this index. Now make sure it's in the right folder. Error messages. So save. And obviously we've got index.html here. So lovely. So I just want to now check. Got a blank page here. So it's localhost / error messages / object not found. So is it error message? What did I just call it? No, it is errors messages. That's a typo on my behalf. There we go. So we just have hello world here. So pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write in an image tag here, and I'm just going to leave it blank and say, yeah, alt tag, yeah, why not? Just put in 404 for the time being, and then I can try and update that dynamically. So, so what we have here is the API key. So we'll say API key is equal to this. And then make sure I put it between there, because I also, so we also have the URL here. So we're going to be exclusively using the search. So URL is equal to this, and we can use limit. And then we'll just set this to I think I'm going to set it to 10 so it'll give me a bit more of a range. So basically now we have this. So we can now. So now we have this. Yes, so it's got a console.log and it'll do that. So on top of this, what I'm going to also do is obviously make the changes here. So we're going to say q is equal to, let's put in a plus sign here, which will say, oh, I haven't actually made a search term, so I'm just going to pop in a search term here, and then obviously we'll put in a thing. So for the time being, I am going to post Doctor Who. So use a plus sign here, and then I'm going to use search term, and that also reminds me, what time is Doctor Who on? Obviously if you're watching this in the future, then, which obviously will be because I'm not live streaming. So anyway, search term, and then API key is equal to, so we put a plus sign in here and another plus sign there, and the API key is equal to API key, and the limit is equal to, and then we'll do this, we'll put in the limit here. So what should happen is it should bring back any GIFs that are Doctor Who related. The first 10 with my API key and my limit. So what we have here is success got data and data. And so first off, I'm going to just say, so let's just double check, because I'm sure the snippet already has it. Yeah, so we already have jQuery here, so that's a good shout. So I'm going to use some jQuery here just to target the image. So I've only got one image, so I'm just going to say image dot source. Actually, I think that's not quite right. It needs to be attribute source, and then obviously whatever the thing is. So I don't actually know, I haven't seen the structure yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this for the time being, slight oversight on my behalf. So let's check that. So that's index.html, and let's take a look at my screen. So as you can see, we've got this one here, this is 404, and now if I inspect, you now should be able to see on the right side of the screen, so we've got that 404 error where the image isn't followed through because I haven't actually called or anything. So we have 10 things to go. So it's literally, so the way we would look at this now, we'd say, right, okay, the image should be data, so we should say that it's xhr, which is the name of the variable, which I'm going to change. So we have done function data, so that's data, so we could say data.data. So let's try that. So image is equal to data, so source is equal to data dot data 0. So let's pick the first one. There we go. So it's a little bit more difficult to work out. So we want, basically we want this images here. We want images. Oh wow, there's quite a lot of these. So I'm assuming we want the original. So let's just drill down. So we got data.data 0, and then we got images dot images, and then we want dot, and then we want original. Wow, this is quite original dot URL. Original dot URL. So this may not go well, but we're gonna try it anyway and see what happens. So data dot data. Yeah, let's try that. See what happens. So the first thing we're gonna try is give error messages. But hey, it worked. So that's good. So this is a relatively new GIF because that's last week's episode. So that's good. So now we can now successfully call. So if I now refresh the page, I will obviously it's going to bring back the same one because things. But if I updated this now to 5, for example, because that should now be the 6th element that gets called back. So we have, yeah, I quite like that actually. I think that would go well. So anyway, so we now have that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and call another variable, which will be a random variable. So if I remember, now one of the things I learned being a developer, if, you know, is that trying to remember certain bits of code on the fly, especially when you're used to one programming language over another, is quite difficult. So let's say random is equal to math dot random now try and remember the syntax. So math dot random, I'm sure there's quite a few people out there that will know this straight away. JavaScript, here we go. We'll obviously know this because they're more used to it. So but just me, I know that I spend quite a lot of my time re-looking things up. So math.random will return a number between 1 and 0, and then there we go. So this reminds another one, but there we go, a number between 1 and 10. So we could use that logic. So I know I'm copy pasting. Let's say variable random. Delete that is between 10 and 1. So that's between 1 and 10. So now if I change this number to 0, this number to, now I may be looking at this completely in the wrong way. So it may fail because I haven't read the syntax right. So apologies. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to check my logic, because I've been in a thing and I've gone, oh yeah, that's right. But actually what it's done instead is we're going to take instance.log random. So I want to be able to check that actually my logic is correct each time. So we've got 1, I should be pressing F5, 3, 8. What I'm really concerned about is going out of bounds, so okay, 7. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that, but I'm pretty sure I may have to check that logic later on. So now we have essentially a working sort of I basically have this a working Giphy API app, essentially. Now, it's not much of an app, but it works. So so now what we're going to do, so the original thing was that we were going to use error messages. So I'm going to write this. Apologies for that. I'm obviously very popular today. Not. So we're going to write this so that we have certain search terms that will essentially decide which one. So we're going to use the same logic. We're going to randomly select which search term gets used, then randomly also select the GIF based on that search term to display, essentially. So what I'm going to do now is, instead, what I'm going to do, right, okay, apologies, I'm just going to try and think about what I'm going to do. So I'm going to write 3 functions. So function, also I have realized that some people may be watching this on a smaller screen, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show, so I'm going to write 3 functions called show 403, show 404. I've left the parameters empty for now, but we will be filling them in, and show 500. So there we go. So we've got our 3 functions. Now, ideally, I don't want to be rewriting this code every single time. So essentially, what I'd like to do is make this a function of its own. So let's say show, we call the function show GIF. Now, also I realize that I'm referring to it as GIF. Some people will say it's GIF. I say GIF because, you know, it's graphics interchange format. I might be wrong there. So if I'm taking the high horse, taking the high horse by saying, oh, it should be faster because of this, and then I can't remember what the actual what it actually stands for, then I'm being a bit of a hypocrite. So you know what? Scratch that last comment. So essentially, so I've got 3 functions. Well, sorry, 4 functions now. So I've got a show GIF function. So essentially, what I'd like to do is, the important thing is the search term. So this, yes, so the search term I think is the only possible thing that would do an issue here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say show GIF and the search term. So search term, there we go. So essentially, I now say search term API key limit. Now this may break because I'm not calling the sending it the URL and the API key and the limit. So we're going to test that out in a way, because this is kind of a learning curve for me as much as anybody else watching it. You may think I'm useless in that sense, but essentially, so what these little functions are now going to do, now that the search term has been passed to show GIF, what we're going to do is I'm just going to say show GIF search term. Okay, and I'll do the same for all 3. So essentially, if I call either one of these in the thing, they're basically going to show what I tell it to show. So as I said, I've already written some predefined sort of search terms here, which are no for like 403, so no, you shall not pass, none shall pass. 404, where is it, lost, etc. So essentially, I'm going to write these as search terms. So what I'm going to do is terms. Yeah, let's call it terms. Make an array and say. Actually, no, you don't even need to do that. It's literally. So I'm going to say. So I just take these. No, nope. There we go. So that's 403. So let's just take those. And also, I may have some syntax errors, as I say. The problem I have is that I will kind of switch between different programming languages, so it will sometimes take me a little bit longer to get the syntax right for certain languages. So in JavaScript, for example, They may do it this way, but you also have sort of the objects as well as obviously the curly brackets stuff. Whereas in certain languages like PHP, you can just call array and then basically do it that way. And so apologies if I do get this wrong the first time around. I'd rather not think this is a tutorial, but more of a kind of quite fun to like work out how the Giphy API uses, and just a bit of fun for the time being, because I'm no expert. I graduated in July, so I'm certainly not an expert. So what I got here is terms 403, 404, and I've got an empty space here for search terms. So what I'm going to do is take this random function here, and then I'm going to say that, and then what I'm going to say is search term. So obviously now we have a length of this, so let me just try and remember. So what I'm quite concerned about is kind of getting the boundaries wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, so I've got 9 here, but I'm keeping that. So I'm going to use, so I'm just going to use terms.length here, and I'm just going to leave it like that. And I know there's probably going to be some sort of things of error here, but the way I look at it, the best way to kind of work out whether you've done something right is essentially to just try and see what happens. So, and then search term is equal to terms and then random. So it's the same here. To be quite honest, I could probably fit this all into one function, but I like to kind of separate it out, and I want to sort of make sure that it works at the same time. So just copy this. Here we go. So now let's just see if this works. So we're going to just now, so at the very top here, what I'm going to do, now take this out and call show 403. Now let's see if this works. Maybe it's a nice big error. So, oh no, it actually worked. So I'm assuming that this one here has basically pulled the none shall pass from 403, because it's the Black Knight from the Holy Grail, and I'm sure he says none shall pass before he gets into the fight with King Arthur. So let's refresh the page. You shall not pass. Excellent. So that's basically our 403 page. This one I'm not actually sure of, so as I said, there are going to be some places where it's not going to be perfect, but so you got a no there. So it's obviously gonna, nope, there we go. So we do sort of have these different ones. We will tend to have certain things around right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off show 403, and I'm going to make it 404 instead. Yeah. So I'm assuming this has something to do with where is it. because where is this coming from? So you could say, you know, it's something like, it kind of doesn't work, but if you really look into it, it'd be like, yeah, where is this request coming from? So, as I say, you can probably play around with the words, but look, it's got 404 here. So, you know, so. So you could probably sort of program it. You could probably You could probably play around with the styling a little bit, and you could probably cover up some of the bits on the bottom to say something you want instead. Like I don't know how badly that would look, but I'm just throwing some ideas around essentially. So, and there we go. So what I tend to do then is, so now that I've got essentially that working, what I'd like to do is change the bit that says hello world. So obviously we've got this script source called hello world here that's not obviously being loaded because technically doesn't exist. So instead what I'm going to do is that we have this h1 class here called text center. So what I'm going to now do is going to call this give us an ID of message, so header message. So, and then what I'm going to do then is for each of these, essentially I'm just going to target it with things. So there's an ID, so header message, and I'm going to say dot text, and I'm just going to say 403. Forbidden, I believe. It is forbidden, I believe, isn't it? And I'll do the same with 404. So yeah, so what I'm going to also do then, just for sort of my sanity, is I'm going to start console logging out the actual term. So obviously don't call it there because technically that variable doesn't exist. So I know then that this is what it's looking for. So obviously this is lost, and that's also lost, and that is 404, which is that this is not the page you're looking for. 404. So I just want to check this. Oh, there we go. So we know that it is obviously doing this sort of thing. So obviously we're getting there. So yeah, essentially this is kind of. So I've put 404 bit in there. It says page not found. So what I'm going to do now is, obviously I haven't done the 500 error because I obviously didn't come up with search terms. So one I quite like is sort of freak out, because what I'm noticing though is that obviously I've put in these search terms and it's obviously still kind of like giving certain things up. Actually, I didn't even notice this, so that's going to pop up now, isn't it? Because I clicked it by mistake. Yeah, don't worry about that. So what I've noticed is obviously I'm showing 403 messages, and if we actually take a look at my original notepad, what we have here is, so we've got Ryan Gosling here. Obviously it's separated by a plus, so I want to make sure that this isn't going to cause any problems. So I just wanted to call 403 again and find out, essentially. So help if I actually console log the term out. No, so obviously it's, I know it says about obviously calling it with a plus, but actually hasn't made a huge amount of a difference that they're actually not separated with plus signs. So obviously it takes sort of the normal sort of space and obviously replaces it with something that can either read it as sort of percentage 20, or it kind of does it for you. But I'm assuming it's probably the former rather than the latter. So anyway, back to 500. So we got freak out, panic, messed up, technical difficulties. We're going to try one more, which is try turning it off and on again. And on again. Now I don't know how well it will pick up some of these, but as I say, it's more of a case of finding out what is probably best. So obviously I've got 403 now, so what I'm going to do now is, because obviously I've written the thing in the same way, so let's just take that, press it there, and then take this bit, then, as I say, you could probably, as I say, believe it's like server error or something like that, so I'm just going to leave it as server error. So we got 403 here, so that's kind of like a none shall pass. Here we go. So it would be really, really, really helpful if I actually changed this to show 500. So we got don't panic. So that one obviously doesn't make as much sense. So. But it kind of does. So we've got obviously these kind of more freak out kind of. So I quite like that. That was good. So hope you try turning it off and on again. So you know, as you said, so obviously we've got these search terms. If we wanted to kind of output them, we could also do that by sort of using a placeholder somewhere below the image, kind of, because obviously this doesn't make a huge amount of sense. So you could probably sort of kind of so yeah, so essentially, yeah. So I know that's obviously this sort of video has taken its time. So yeah, so if this, I will apologise now if this is kind of like a waste of your time by watching this, and if you stuck around for, you know, kind of the entirety of it, then well done. But anyway, if you've got any sort of feedback that's kind of constructive, that's great. Yeah, and if you think that I should do one on sort of my dog of the day kind of deals, then let me know. I also have another project as well that I did the week before that, which was essentially using an API called, actually it was an online API called, I can't remember the name of it unfortunately, but essentially what I did was I made a page, essentially made it kind of entirely kind of centered around TV shows, about a TV show. So essentially I did Rick and Morty, then I realised that I could change it to any other show that I'd like, and I could obviously pull it with all the episodes and stuff. So with something like The Simpsons, it obviously it took a little bit of more time, but I could randomize episodes, etc., etc. So, you know. So yeah, if you wanted to see how I did that as well, that would be great as a new video. And if you had any suggestions of essentially projects I could do with sort of APIs or programming in general, that might be helpful, then please let me know. So yeah, cool. Thanks for watching.